Frieren. Frieren is an elven mage whose power comes from absolute mastery of magic fundamentals, refined over more than 1,000 years. Unlike modern mages who specialize in narrow disciplines, Frieren is a complete generalist. She understands mana flow, spell construction, barrier theory, and counter magic at a level that borders on instinct. Her long lifespan allowed her to repeat the same principles endlessly, until inefficiency was completely eliminated, making her dangerous in any situation regardless of environment or opponent. The core of Frieren's combat strategy is mana suppression. She constantly limits the amount of mana she releases,
フリーレン様を試すような器ではありません。ゼイリエ様に
making herself appear weak to anyone relying on mana detection. This deception is especially effective against demons, who equate mana quantity with threat and never consider concealing their power. When Frieren releases this suppression, her true mana pool is revealed to be enormous, large enough to overpower ancient demons purely through raw volume. This allows her to win fights before they properly begin, as enemies make fatal miscalculations about her strength. In battle, Frieren prioritizes efficiency and analysis over brute force. She favors Zoltrak because of its extreme speed and because older beings have not fully adapted defensive reflexes against it. Her most dangerous ability, however, is her spell analysis. Frieren can observe complex magic, break it down into its component structures, and develop countermeasures in real time. Prolonged engagements only benefit her, as every exchange gives her more information to dismantle her opponent's magic completely. Fern. Fern is a human mage trained almost exclusively in magic fundamentals under Frieren's guidance. Rather than learning a wide variety of advanced spells, Fern was drilled in mana control, concealment, detection, and casting efficiency. This training stripped away wasted motion and hesitation, resulting in Fern possessing one of the fastest casting speeds in the series. She can unleash high-output spells in rapid succession, overwhelming opponents before they can properly react. Fern's greatest strength is her control over mana perception. She can suppress her mana so thoroughly that even elite mages struggle to sense her presence, while simultaneously maintaining one of the most precise mana detection abilities shown. Fern can notice extremely subtle fluctuations in mana flow, allowing her to locate hidden enemies, predict attacks, and identify weaknesses in spellcasting patterns. This dual mastery makes her exceptionally difficult to ambush or deceive. Although Fern primarily uses basic offensive magic such as Zoltrak, she pushes these spells to extreme effectiveness through precision and repetition. She can split attacks, stack castings, and adjust output mid-cast to overwhelm defensive barriers. While she lacks Frieren's centuries of experience,
なるほどね。ほどほどでございます。
Fern's discipline, efficiency, and growth rate indicate extraordinary potential. Among human mages, she represents the highest possible ceiling for fundamental mastery. Flamme. Flamme was a legendary human mage who lived over 1,000 years ago and fundamentally reshaped the role of magic in human society. During her era, magic was widely considered taboo and associated almost exclusively with demons and destruction. Flamme challenged this belief by demonstrating that magic could be studied, refined, and used constructively by humans. Her efforts directly led to magic becoming accepted across the continent and laid the groundwork for formal magical institutions. As Frieren's mentor, Flamme taught her some of the most important techniques she would ever learn.
クソみたいなおごりと油断だ。
Most notably, mana suppression. Flamme understood that demons rely heavily on mana perception and arrogance, making deception a more effective weapon than brute force. Rather than overwhelming enemies with visible power, Flamme emphasized concealment, misdirection, and precision. This philosophy allowed her to defeat enemies far stronger than expected by exploiting their assumptions. Despite her immense power, Flamme believed magic should enrich life, not just end it. Her favorite spell was one that created fields of flowers, reflecting her belief that magic should preserve beauty as well as enable survival. Even with her limited human lifespan, Flamme's influence persisted long after her death, shaping the modern magical era and the very way mages understand their role in the world.
あの子のお気に入りの魔法を知っているか？花畑を出す魔法。
Serie.
お前、
私を見てどう思った？
Serie is an ancient elven mage and the head of the Continental Magic Association, often referred to as the Living Grimoire. Over centuries, she has collected an enormous number of spells, giving her an unmatched breadth of magical knowledge. However, her true strength lies not just in spell quantity, but in her overwhelming mana reserves and flawless command of spell theory. Very few beings can even perceive the scale of her power.
The fault here is all Frieren's. Therefore, I will proctor the third test.
Serie views magic as a tool for efficiency and killing, rather than beauty or self-expression. She dismisses sentimental approaches to magic and prioritizes results above all else. Her mana suppression is so refined that even elite mages struggle to detect her presence, and when unrestrained, her raw mana eclipses nearly every modern mage. This places her at the absolute top tier of magical power shown in the series. Despite her cold demeanor, Serie recognizes talent instantly and refuses to ignore potential, even when it contradicts her worldview. She oversees the first-class mage system and personally evaluates candidates based on their understanding of magic fundamentals. Her failure to defeat the Demon King was not due to a lack of power, but an inability to imagine a peaceful world beyond constant conflict, revealing the limits of even her immense strength. Lernen. Lernen is the oldest living first-class mage and the longest-serving apprentice of Serie. His strength is rooted in absolute mastery of magical fundamentals, rather than overwhelming spectacle. Lernen possesses extraordinarily refined mana detection, allowing him to sense even the smallest irregularities in mana flow. This level of perception lets him identify suppressed mana, unstable spell structures, and hidden casting intent long before most mages are aware of danger. In combat, Lernen emphasizes precision, speed, and control. His offensive magic, including Zoltrak, is executed with such accuracy and timing that it can pierce defenses even elite mages consider reliable. He does not rely on excessive mana output, instead focusing on optimal spell placement and minimal casting windows. This makes his attacks difficult to anticipate or block, especially in short exchanges where reaction time is critical. Lernen is also heavily implied to specialize in golem and construct magic, creating autonomous entities capable of acting independently to distract, defend, or attack. Despite his technical superiority, his greatest weakness is psychological. Lernen regrets being born in an era of relative peace and struggles, with the idea that his power may never be fully tested or remembered. This internal conflict occasionally drives him to reckless challenges, though it never diminishes his status as one of the most technically advanced mages alive. Denken. Denken is an elderly imperial mage whose age disguises his true lethality. Decades of warfare, political maneuvering, and magical research have made him one of the most experienced combat mages in the modern era. Unlike specialists, Denken possesses a broad spell arsenal, allowing him to seamlessly transition between elemental attacks, large-scale area control, and high-speed offensive magic depending on the situation. His combat philosophy revolves around pressure and attrition. Denken layers spells to overwhelm defensive magic, rather than relying on a single decisive blow. He frequently uses large-scale elemental techniques, such as tornadoes and flame-based transformations to control the battlefield, forcing opponents into disadvantageous positions. At the same time, he is capable of firing highly concentrated spells at extreme speed when openings appear. Denken's defining trait is his resolve. He is keenly aware when he is outmatched, but refuses to retreat if doing so would prevent him from achieving his objective. This mindset allows him to stand against enemies far stronger than himself, including powerful demons and former mentors. His willingness to continue fighting despite overwhelming odds elevates him beyond most mages of comparable power, and cements his reputation as a first-class mage in both skill and character. Methode. Methode is a first-class mage whose strength comes from versatility, intelligence, and exceptional battlefield composure. She originates from a northern clan dedicated to hunting and killing demons, meaning she was exposed to real combat far earlier than most mages. This upbringing shaped her into a pragmatic fighter who understands how demons think, how they react to pressure, and how to exploit hesitation. Unlike many frontline mages, Methode remains calm and analytical even in life-threatening situations. What separates Methode from most combat mages is her balance between offense, control, and support. She possesses strong offensive magic, restraint techniques, and advanced defensive awareness, allowing her to adapt to rapidly changing conditions. She can pressure enemies while simultaneously monitoring allies and the environment, often multitasking in ways other mages cannot. Her ability to analyze opponents mid-battle lets her identify weaknesses and shift tactics without losing momentum. Methode is also one of the rare mages capable of using goddess magic through scripture, granting her access to high-level healing normally reserved for priests. This allows her to restore critically injured allies and continue fighting without withdrawing from combat. Her healing ability, combined with her combat proficiency, makes her extremely difficult to exhaust or overwhelm. Methode does not radiate killing intent, which often causes enemies to underestimate her until they are already outmatched. Zenza. Zenza is a first-class mage and exam proctor whose power is rooted in extreme control and imagination. Her magic revolves around manipulating her own hair, with each strand imbued with layered enchantments. These enchantments allow her hair to function as both a weapon and a defensive system, capable of striking, binding, blocking, and sensing simultaneously. This makes her fighting style oppressive, as opponents are attacked from multiple angles at once. Her control over these strands is precise to an almost frightening degree. Zenza can increase their density and weight to smash through defensive barriers, or thin them to slip past protections entirely. She can restrain enemies, crush structures, and shield herself without changing position. Combined with her exceptional mana detection, this allows her to locate hidden opponents quickly and neutralize them before they can escape or counterattack. Zenza's imagination is one of her greatest assets. In the world of magic, visualization directly affects spell potency, and Zenza's ability to envision complex, layered control amplifies her effectiveness far beyond raw mana alone. Although she considers herself a pacifist, her combat methods leave opponents completely suppressed and helpless. Even highly skilled mages struggle to last more than moments against her constructs, making her one of the most dangerous control-type mages in the series.
These were designed by Lernen, a first-class mage. They hold escape golems.
Ubel. Ubel was a former third-class mage whose actual danger level far exceeded her official rank. Her magic is centered entirely around visualization, making her power deeply psychological rather than technical. Her primary spell allows her to cut anything she can imagine herself cutting. This means the effectiveness of her magic is determined not by mana volume or spell complexity, but by her personal experiences, instincts, and mental framework. As a result, her magic behaves unpredictably and ignores many conventional rules. Ubel's cutting spell is especially dangerous against defensive magic. She perceives barriers as objects whose sole purpose is to block attacks, which allows her to imagine cutting through them naturally. This mental model lets her spell bypass defenses that would normally stop far stronger attacks. However, her power has limits. Objects she cannot imagine cutting, such as certain materials or abstract constructs, remain immune. This makes her strength situational, but terrifying when conditions align. Beyond her innate spell, Ubel possesses the rare ability to copy other mages' signature magic through empathy. This requires genuine emotional understanding, not observation or mimicry. She must comprehend how a spell reflects the caster's inner self. Once achieved, she can recreate the spell as her own. This ability allows her power to scale rapidly during encounters, making prolonged battles against her extremely dangerous, as every interaction risks expanding her arsenal.
You can try to hide, but I already caught a sliver of the real you. I think I'd like to see more.
Land. Land is a first-class mage who specializes in advanced illusion and misdirection magic. His abilities allow him to create fully autonomous clones that are indistinguishable from his real body in both appearance and magical presence. These clones can fight, speak, cast spells, and gather information independently, relaying everything back to Land's true body. This makes it nearly impossible to determine whether Land is actually present on the battlefield. The most dangerous aspect of Land's magic is that damage inflicted on his clones does not transfer to him. This allows Land to engage in combat with zero physical risk, testing opponents, gathering data, and exhausting their resources without exposing himself. He can deploy multiple clones simultaneously, coordinating them with perfect awareness, effectively turning any confrontation into an information-gathering exercise in his favor. Lan's true strength lies in his patience and strategic thinking. He avoids unnecessary risks, never commits unless success is assured, and uses deception as his primary weapon. By the time an enemy realizes they have been fighting illusions, Land has already learned their capabilities and weaknesses. This information dominance makes him one of the most dangerous mages in the series, despite his quiet and unassuming demeanor.
今はのんびりティータイムか。
驚いた。
Aura. Aura is a high-ranking demon mage and one of the 7 Sages of Destruction, feared not for raw spell variety, but for a single overwhelmingly lethal ability. Her signature magic, the Spell of Obedience, places her soul and her opponent's soul on a scale that measures total mana. Whoever possesses more mana gains absolute control over the other, allowing Aura to issue commands that cannot be resisted. Against most humans, this spell is an instant win condition. Aura's magic reflects the demon philosophy of dominance through superiority rather than technique. She amassed an army of subjugated warriors by using her spell repeatedly, executing those who resisted to maintain control and obedience. This earned her the title Aura the Guillotine. Her confidence stemmed from centuries of experience and the assumption that no human mage could ever rival her mana pool. Her fatal mistake was relying entirely on mana comparison. Frieren's centuries of mana suppression allowed her to conceal a vastly larger reserve, causing the scale to tip instantly against Aura. Once the spell was activated, Aura lost control and was forced to obey the spell's command and die. Her defeat demonstrates a central rule of magic in the series. Reliance on absolute power without adaptability leads to inevitable failure.
アウラ自害者
Macht. Macht is considered the strongest of the 7 Sages of Destruction and represents the pinnacle of demon spellcraft. His signature magic, Diagalds, converts anything he touches into gold, including living beings, structures, and even magical constructs. Unlike simple transmutation, the spell fundamentally rewrites the target state, making reversal nearly impossible. Entire cities were turned into gold through his curse. Macht differs from most demons in that he actively studies humans. He experiments with emotions, morality, and bonds, attempting to understand concepts he cannot naturally grasp. This curiosity makes him extraordinarily dangerous, as he adapts not only magically, but psychologically. His combat ability combines overwhelming physical power, refined spell usage, and a deep understanding of human behavior. Despite his strength, Macht's greatest vulnerability is conceptual. He cannot imagine a world where his curse is undone, which limits his ability to defend against reversal magic. This flaw is exploited through long-term analysis rather than direct combat. Macht stands as the ultimate example of how even the most powerful mage can be defeated if they lack the imagination to conceive defeat.